Yeah, thank you for the introduction. I think a lot of people have problems understanding what we do because we are in the deep tech space. I'm here to explain that. Can we have? Yeah, so what we do is we take biohazards out of biotechnology. I'll tell you how we do it. Okay. Okay, so first, small question. What do you think is the most expensive chemical metal in the world? Okay, so I've asked this question before. I think it's the last presentation. People are a bit sleepy here. So I'll go with it. It's not gold. It's not diamond. Some of them go with Bitcoin. You can't invest in it. I think it's too late. And then we have Birkin bags. This was given by one Chinese intern who joined us. I think people store their money in Birkin bags. That is still too late because Hermes owns it. So, the most expensive chemical in the world is cyber green. If you didn't know about it, this is the basic chemical that is used in all the PCR and RT-PCR tests worldwide. And for those of you who went through the pandemic, all of us did, understand that this is the basic ingredient. It is owned by one company in the world called Thermo Fisher Scientific. Okay, so they bought this company, and 1 ml of the dye sells to close to $1,900, more or less. It varies within every 2 weeks. So what we did was, and this chemical is biohazardous. This was invented around 20 years back. The patent is now expired, but still there is no alternative. So during COVID, what India had to do was we had to beg, borrow, and steal from every developed nation in the world. We did not have our own technology to do it. We had to depend on American companies. So we wanted to disrupt this long back. We actually started with having a safer alternative for it, which is a food grade safe alternative. So we came up, and this is used in all the devices. For those of you who are running hospitals, or I think Siemens Healthineers have already left. I'm sure if you are in cancer liquid biopsy or in any kind of neonatal disease, all you need is this chemical to get started with, because it's the only chemical that binds to DNA and RNA. Okay. And the problem with biohazards is that it is being quietly, what happened to all the COVID tests that were biohazardous? It is being quietly dumped into our landfills. Nobody talks about it. More than CO2 emissions, more than carbon footprints, more than the plastic straws. This is the biggest problem that we have in the world today. And how do we know about it? So there is CDP now, climate change action, or CDP data points has come up. So this is now penalizing all the publicly listed companies. So if you're a publicly listed company, now you have to first disclose it, and then you have to come up with a plan how you're going to remove these biohazards from your production line. And now all the companies such as Thermo Fisher, Cytiva, Danaher Corp, all of them have got a -D, which means in 5 years they're going to have a penalty up to $5 million if they continue to do this. And that's why we are important now. That's why our innovation is important now. After 46 years, we reported something called as DNA binding. So DNA binding components are very rare. There are hardly 5 to 6 components in the world that can bind to your DNA. A chemical that bind to DNA and visualize. DNA is closely to 2 nanometers. All the semiconductor chips that you're talking about is 4 nanometers, around 4 nanometers. So DNA has got more exciting stuff that is going on than all the semiconductors we talk about in the world. So that's what we did. We came up with EcoFloors that can not only bind to DNA, RNA, chromosomes, live cells, all the building blocks of biotechnology. We have a product that can bind to all the building blocks. We have individual products. This got patent. It's not patent pending. It's got patent grants in 4 countries, and we are in the process of licensing it. I'm not going to go into the details of the market. It's around $50 billion, $52 billion. And I'm going to talk about the last 2 acquisitions that were pegged around 600 million euros, and another one was close to $234 million. So we took around 10 years to build it. So it's not like software where you deploy some code and put it on AWS or in or an Azure and you have it running. It's not like an app. It takes a lot of time to build a deep tech startup because it has to be precise. We took around 10 years to build it. Luckily, my co-founder is from Indian Institute of Sciences. She's a scientist behind it. I'll introduce her later in the presentation. So it was her innovation. So we took around 10 years to build it, supported by Indian Institute of Sciences, Ramaya, MS Ramaya's MSR Evolute, and then IKP, which is an accelerator. So none of us understood what we did until COVID hit the market. Okay, so all of you may be talking about fashion statements because everything that you do now has to be Instagrammable or it has to be on Twitter. That's the basis of all the fluff that you see. But when all boils down to COVID and lockdown, that is where you understand what is important in life. Okay, and that's when people understood. When we spoke about PCR in 2018, nobody really cared about us. They asked, do you have an app that we can invest in? We didn't have one. So COVID made us important. COVID made us understand why we exist and what we can do for India and rest of the world. Because most of the time innovations happen in developed nations, and all the low and middle income countries have to borrow from the developed countries, which means that you're buying in dollars, you're buying in euros, and that's why you don't see a penetration. You don't see a market penetration because every innovation that is designed for in a developed nation is done with all the resources possible, right? So you need to have a cold chain, you need to have all the possible things in order to get it working. So what we did was we developed a molecular transport medium to store all the samples, which means that generally it is considered genomics is the future. I think we had a previous presenter talking about the future of RNA technology and cell therapies. What it basically means is that you're touching on the DNA of a person. So which means that genomics is the starting point. So during COVID, we understood that forget the DNA tests. We don't even make sample collection kits. None of the sample, can you believe that India does not make any sample collection kits? We are dependent on China on a daily basis for all the sample collection kits for the billions of Indians. So that's what IIC told us. We wanted to be a patent company which is making patented products. But what we had to do during COVID was we had to solve the problem of sample collection kits. And that's what we did. And today we have the broadest sample collection kits starting from saliva to cell to tissues. So if you're into genomics, if you're into biobanks, if you're into having a microbiome sample collection kits, what you see in 23andMe kind of sample collection kits. In India, we are trying to work with MapMyGenome, who is trying to do some kind of genomics in India in order to be a sample collection kit provider for them. So we didn't know that we were doing something significant. During COVID, we deployed around 1 million kits within a year's time. With a track record of 0 contaminations. Most of the time, if you see sample collections, there are contaminations. Thank you. So from 0, so we didn't know anything about manufacturing. We didn't know anything about genomics, okay, because there was a national crisis, and with IIC's help, we went into the market and deployed it, onboarding customers like Metropolis, Rivera Labs, which is part of Manipal group of hospitals, which is still our customer. And we got mentioned in a lot of reports that Azooka Labs is mentioned alongside Thermo Fisher, alongside BD Biosciences. It's great for a company of just 16 people to be mentioned alongside 25, a company like Thermo Fisher, which just has an M&A budget, merger and acquisition budget of $20 billion. Okay, so what have we done? Right now, we didn't know, we wanted to be a small IP company, but we have become APAC's only safe and sustainable genomic manufacturer. Okay, which means that our manufacturing unit is a chemical plant which does not have an effluent pipe at all. We don't have an effluent pipe at all. There is absolutely no smoke coming out of it, and it's completely no biohazards. There is no room for biohazards. So we are trying to build a safe and a sustainable manufacturer from India. So what are we? We have a vision set for the next 15 years. What we have done is just touched upon the basic building blocks of biology, but what we understood that all the most valuable chemicals, such as in vitro diagnostics, the one that you see in angiograms, the chemical that is used in angiograms, none of it is made in India. Most of the Siemens devices all these devices use something called as fluorophores that can go in and bind to a specific cell or a specific DNA or RNA, and then it illuminates, and then that is when you actually see it. So these chemicals are not made in India, and we are planning to build it from India. And all of these chemicals are sold in drops. So I told you about Cybergreen. 1 ml of Cybergreen is close to 1 lakh, and it's sold in drops. So so Indians cannot buy such expensive materials. So we sell by the drop. We sell 2 drops, and our entire product is only 1 ml. So it's all happening there. So that's our vision. So we've been featured we've won a lot of awards over the years, primarily in deep tech space. I think they missed one award that I want to mention is NASSCOM award that we recently won. It lists Azooka in the league of 10. Okay, so 10 years back, building Infosys, building Wipro was the thing. Building a services company out of India because of cheap human labor, that was the thing to do. And 10 years back, in 2010 timeframes, if you look, Zoho, Freshworks, Inmobi was the thing. Building enterprise SaaS companies, because we have millions of coders in India, that was the thing to do. And now development is marginalized with AI, right? So now building healthcare, building manufacturing is India's future, and that's why we got recognized by NASSCOM, and that's what we are here to do. So quick background about me. Although I'm talking a lot of biotech, I have absolutely no background in biotech. My background is from Zoho, where I got passionate about product management because I got to work along with the founders such as Mani Vembu, Kumar Vembu, Sridhar Vembu, and Girish Mathrubootham. Girish Mathrubootham was my last boss, and all of them are in software. But I got one thing about Sridhar Vembu is he kind of inspired people to build products from India, because most of the time we are considered to be a low-cost destination, and that's not how India is going to become the next big thing, or that's not how we are going to overtake China or the US, by building products that really create value. And you can find my entire story on my LinkedIn profile. And for a minute, I would also like to introduce my co-founder, Dr. Fatima. She is the scientist behind all these inventions I'm talking about, and she also happens to be my school friend from class 1 to 10. So we got to know each other for a lot. Yeah. And we are supported by most of ISC's, time's up. I'll just close with this. We got supported by ISC's top scientists who are in the field, and will be happy to collaborate. If any one of you is working in the genomic space, in biobanks, or you would like to target anything in molecular biology, so please do contact us. It's too late to invest in the gold rush. It's too late to invest in Freshworks. They already gone public. Sridhar Vembu won't take any investment because Zoho will never go public. It is time. If you are still looking to invest in gold, you missed it. If you want to invest in Azooka, please talk to us and contact us. Thank you.